Alrighty guys, welcome. This is your host, ID Jester. We're going to be doing a live unboxing of Pathfinder adventure card game, Curse of the Crimson Throne. This is the second edition expansion. I've got the second edition core game on the way, but it didn't arrive yet. So I'll be opening this first, then be sure to check out our, hopefully within the week, episode on the core game as well, because I really want to open this up and I really want to, really want to try it. All right, so the king is dead. Long live the queen. Corvassa is cursed that none of its monarchs shall ever die of old age or produce an heir. The metropolis teeters on the edge of anarchy. It needs heroes that can face down crime lords, rioting mobs, insane cultists, vigilant plagues, undead hordes, screaming devils, corrupt nobles, barbarian chieftains, and ancient and forgotten evils that seek to dominate and plunder the city. Well, that's just wow. That's a lot of bad things there. This expansion of the popular cooperative strategy game pits 1 to 6 players against monsters, perils, and traps as you save the city of Corvassa from the threats both ancient and new. Choose your characters, build a deck of unique equipment, magic, and allies, and explore lethal locations as your journey through an exciting fantasy tale. As your adventure continues, your characters will add remarkable gear and breathtaking magic to their decks. They'll also gain incredible power, which they'll need to challenge even more and more powerful threats. This set includes the storybook and cards for the Curse of the Crimson Throne adventure path. It requires the Pathfinder adventure card game core set and expands the maximum number of players to 6 for that set. You can supplement your experience with character decks, the Pathfinder Adventure Card Society, and Pathfinder Adventure Card Game accessories. All these sold separately. Wardrobe! What's going on? No enemies here. Tony's board live. Heathwell. Hi guys, how you doing? The Pathfinder Adventure Card Game Curse of the Crimson Throne Adventure Path includes cards, pawns, storybooks, blah blah blah. Let's open it up and see what we got. It is for 1 to 6 players age 13 and above. Time 90 minutes. Alright, let's see what's inside the box. Brand new opening of the box. Hopefully everyone's having a good day here. Just thought I would do a quick video on the Curse of the Crimson Throne. Pathfinder Adventure Card Game, War Game of the Year, since it's got lots and lots of cards. And miniatures. See, I beat no enemies here to the punchline. See, I knew he was going to say that. This is the expansion. Yes, this is the expansion to the core games. Again, if you're just joining us, I don't actually have the core game yet. It's on the way. It's just not here yet. So the core game will be in a different video. So let's open this up and see what we have. Bump, bump, bump. Love the box art. First of all, love the box art. Nice, thick, sturdy box too. It's not one of those flimsy, cheap ones. These are nice boxes. I like this. Yes. All right, so we got new heroes to play with. We have Hakrin, Kess, Quinn, and Vardian. And they come with little minis now, which is super cool. In the old game, it just came with a card that you put out. Now you have these little miniatures that you can put out. So you get 4 new characters to play with. We have, of course, our Curse of the Crimson Throne adventure book. I have Pathfinder on my iPad. Yeah, they do have a computer adaptation to this as well. So you're going to follow through the story arc. You're going to get the new rules and the information, and then of course you're going to get in the information of the scenarios. And this is what the second edition has that the first edition sorely lacks, is information spelled out for you, just how things set up, what to do, how to do things. And you can see actually part of the story mode going on there. And yeah, there's a lot in there. Lots to go through. Great artwork, great story. I'm going to slide this camera back just slightly, tip it up a little bit. There we go. There we go. All right, so that's what comes in that scenario. 7A, 3A, 2A, 2B. I believe each one has an A, B, and a C, and a D. So like scenario 1, scenario 1A, and you're going to scenario 1B, scenario 2C, I'm sorry, scenario 1C, and then scenario 1D. Then you complete that scenario. Then you move on to the next scenario. And you go through A, B, C, and D, and then through the next scenario. So I think with 6 times 4, I think there's like 24 adventures in here. Plus, oh my gosh, look at all these nice, super good cards. Look at all these nice, super good cards. So we open up a couple packs so we can look at them here. I have no enemies here. I have the first 2 core games. I think they're called Skull and Shackles and the Rise of the Rune Lords. Yeah, Rise of the Rune Lords was the original game that came out. Then they came out with several expansions. One of them was Skull and Shackles. There was another, like an ancient Egypt themed one, and then there's another one. There's another one called Wrath of the Righteous, which is all about demons and devils and undead and stuff like that. So the second edition artwork, wow. Really, really nice artwork. Wow, look at this monster tier 5. These are all probably all based on tier. Yeah, these are all the tier 5 enemies and allies and items and equipment and all that stuff. Tier 5. There's tier 6. Here's tier 7. Way in the back. And you can see, wow, they go in pretty deep there. Let's go to level 1. Let's look at the level 1 stuff so we don't look at anything too far down the adventure path. The second edition, they streamline a lot of the gameplay from the first edition. They also updated all the artwork on the cards. They changed the format of things on the cards. You now, like your blessings that you flip up as your timer on the deck, each blessing has like a special power on it that you can use. So they definitely kind of fine-tuned it. It's still basically the same game. You go to an area, you explore, you fight monsters, you encounter barriers, you pick up weapons, you get spells, you get armor, you find items, you find allies, and you find blessings. And you fight through that area to complete the scenario and pick up these items and try to keep really good information for your characters for the next scenario as you try to level them up. You earn experience points, which will allow you to upgrade characters. Yeah, it is a very repetitive kind of game in that you're basically doing the same thing over and over and over again. The only thing that's going to be different is obviously you're going to encounter different monsters, you're going to encounter different enemies, you're going to encounter different weapons. So here's our character. The old one, I'll just show you because it might be better to show you. So we're going to grab some of the first edition cards just to kind of give you an idea of how things are, how things are a little bit different there. So in the first edition, all the characters were landscape, like this format, as opposed to up and down. Now they've changed it so the characters are up and down. They give you kind of a better portrait of the character. Like I said, they kind of streamline some of the rules and everything and how things interact with one another. Much more clear than when you look at these characters and you have like questions about, can I do this when this happens? Or can I do this when this happens? And so they kind of updated that information. The other thing is, you used to just have like a character card that you put out, so you know where your characters are. Now you get these little miniatures, which is interesting because they don't actually have any of the little miniature bases in the core game or in the expansion. You got to get the little base in the regular game, I guess. So if we look at, so here's the characters now. Each character now has when they get to a certain level, they can upgrade their role. So like, for example, if we look at Haken there, so he's a level 0 character. All the information about him is proficiencies, hand size, his deck building information, and kind of like a little backstory on him. And then once he reaches a certain level, I'm not sure what level it is, but you can choose to take your character down one of two paths. In this one, he is the Herald of the Horn. And if you choose this one, is the Herald of the Harrow. And what this means is, beware the man with the red tongue. He speaks and blood flows. Or you can be Herald of the Horn. When you hear the horn, come running. And of course they have different powers and different special things that they can do. If we look at Kess here, so Kess is, let's see what his role is here if it tells us. He is a human brawler, so think of him as like a, kind of a fighter kind of guy. Pretty good strength, average dexterity, above average constitution, average intelligence, pretty low wisdom, and above average charisma. Now Kess, he can upgrade to a bouncer when you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Or he could evolve into a bruiser. Let her introduce you to a couple of her friends. So, and like some of them turn more supporty, while other ones turn into more like defenders. Some turn into kind of more attacky type guys. Then let's see here if we have some. So let's see here. Let's open this up here. So we'll get a monster out so you guys can see the monsters here. Let me get a monsters. It's not going to have any monsters. Yeah, here's monsters. Let me get out the monster pack from the first edition. Sorry. All right. Where the heck are they? Did I not? The artwork on them has always been great, but I think the artwork is even better. It's I think the artwork shows better with the new format. If I could find a monster to actually show you, which would be super cool. They should be here, but these are all red monsters. I wanted to get you an orange monster so I can compare apples to apples here. Oh, here they are. Down at the bottom here. Of course they are. At the bottom. So we'll just grab this one here. So here's a first edition skeleton, and then here is the second edition spider swarm. And the difference, for me, this is a little bit easier to read what you need. Combat, you can kind of see over here, this text is a little bit smaller font. It's kind of harder to read. The actual number is a little hard to read. The font on this is got a nice background color, so the black stands out. This is just white. So I think the font size here are the same, but it's kind of the different formats. I like the new format personally a lot better. I know some people don't like it as much, but I do. Here's their traits down here. So the traits were normally up here. Now they put them down here in a nice little box down here, and then their powers are listed there. Let's see. So the blessings were like one of the most important part of the game, but they were so confusing in the first edition, right? And they didn't have like anything special about them other than when they were in your deck. But now, if we can find one here, we'll look at the new blessings. So big difference in the blessings, as you can see. That's a blessing. That's not what I'm looking for, actually. Hang on a second. Is this? Yeah, this is a blessing. Okay. Everything is now color coded a lot better. Before, like this is a armor. This is a blessing. You can barely tell the difference because this is just like light blue and this is like a gray. And then you look at weapons and they're about the same as that, right? Here's a weapon. So when you see a blessing or you see a shield or armor and you see a weapon, they're all basically look the same, right? In this edition, you'll see blessings, weapons, items, so that's just kind of comparison between them. First edition for me is just a little plain, bland. Nothing wrong with it. It's just kind of bland. Doesn't have much in the way of, oh, this is super cool. This looks great. This is nice or anything like that. When you pick up something and you pick this up on the deck, it's like, oh, wow, look at this sword. This looks awesome. See if I can get it to zoom in on the card real nice. All right, so this is a cold iron greatsword. You can see down the bottom right hand corner, it's sword, melee, slashing, two-handed. The powers that it has. The artwork on this is really good. You can see really easily. It's a strength melee test, right? When you look at this, right? What kind of test is this? Oh, wait, it's way over here in this little tiny box way over there. And the information, right? It's kind of just a block of text, right? If you look at these now, they kind of separate each power. So I'm going to zoom in again. So you have like one power here, and then you have a little space, and then you have another power. Same thing with like the blessings here. So you have a power there, or you have a power down there. So you can see like a little space between them. Right? And here, the new thing is all your blessings now have actually got a power. So normally in the old game, you just flip up a blessing card and just ignore it because it doesn't do anything. The other blessings are just a timing mechanism. Let's see, where are they? Let's see if I can find them. Right here. So you're normally having like a stack, right? And you're just flipping over a blessing. It's another player's turn. You flip over a blessing, right? And you just do that every time a player comes. And it was no big thing. It was okay. It's just like a timing mechanism. You have so many things that you could, you have so many turns you can take, and then the adventure's over. Now, in all the blessings, each of the blessings have like a different power. So you can see here, if you flip up the snake bite, during your combat check, you may add poison trait. If you do, you suffer the scourged poison. The wanderer. When a local character fails to acquire a boon, you may bury a card to encounter it. The vision. At the start of the turn, examine the top card of your location. If it's a magic card, you can encounter it. So when you're flipping these up for your timing mechanism, it's still the same thing. I mean, the rules are still the same. You have your timing mechanism. But every time a character flips it up, you might get a slight little bonus that's going to help them out. Or, make it so that they can do certain things. And it's kind of a nice little feature to add to the blessing cards. I think the artwork on these are just so much better than, if you look at these, it's just kind of plain, right? Kind of plain. There's nothing special about the artwork. I mean, they're nice. They're nice. Don't get me wrong. There's just nothing special, right? If you look at these blessing cards, man. The beating. Look at that. Awesome artwork there. You got the big sky. You got the cyclone. You have the fiend. You have the forge, the keep, the paladin. Right? So in this one, when another character attempts your encounter, heal 1d4 cards. So that would be super cool. The uprising. So all these blessings have new special features, and not all of them, I should say that. Some are just still generic where they say nothing happens. But, you can get some of them that something does happen. So very excited about the second edition. Very excited. Can't wait to get my core game in here. So we can do an unboxing. But the same mechanics are the same. You're going to build your characters. You're going to go to locations. You're going to flip up a card. You're going to engage, and you're going to engage that card. Either try to get a item, or try to fight an enemy, or get an item picked up, get a spell. False life, frozen touch, emulate. Oh, look at that art. That's awesome there. Infernal healing, sanctuary. You have an armored coat. You have a collar. Quilted cloth armor. Studded leather armor. Anti-plague. Elixir of love. Holy symbol. Holy water. Horn of battle cry. Heath, well, they could have made the text a little bit bigger. I mean, still, it's a little bit bigger than it was. Like, I still feel like I guess they didn't want to infringe too much on the artwork, which I agree with too. You don't want to, but you could have made that just slightly bigger, maybe. It's like 8 font. They could have made it like a 9 font. Would have been nice. All kinds of new characters. Yeah, so here's a blessing level 0. This has no effect. So you can get this one and just has no effect. Nothing special. Right? If it's a timing mechanism. The timing mechanism is this little box here. So these are the ones you flip up every time a character does something. Is like the timing of the scenario. You have 30 turns to go through. But when it's in your hand, each of them have like a special power. They do something. Here's supporters. This is new. I don't remember supporters. And then here's your story banes. Cool. So some more level 0 stuff to add to the other deck. And of course you start off as level 0, you go through that adventure, and then you're going to level up to level 1. Once you get up to level 1, then you go through the adventure in this. Level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6, and level 7. You go through the adventures in this with all these cards. That's what these cards are for. Each of them now will give you a roster. They also now have another one of the features is they've made it now where you normally put cards in to the deck. And now they give you a short or medium or a long scenario. So if you wanted to play a short scenario, make it a little bit quicker, these are the cards you use. If you want to do a medium, which I think the short ones are about, I would say, 45 minutes to an hour. The medium ones are about an hour to an hour and a half. And then the long ones are probably an hour and a half to 2 hours. Depending on how fast you play, obviously. But I mean, just rough ballpark. But now, super cool. You can now decide, oh, I only have a couple hours to play, or I don't feel like getting into a long scenario, or sometimes you do want to get into a long scenario. So it breaks down each location now on short, medium, or long. So yeah, a lot of good, super good additions to the game, I think. I think they really listened to the feedback they got. The artwork was kind of plain. There wasn't much to the cards. There was too many questions about when you could activate, when you couldn't activate things. We've been actually playing this on our channel. A couple scenarios of this, first edition. And myself, I even had questions. Well, if I got to bury this card and then this other power makes me shuffle my deck, do I bury this card first or do I shuffle my deck first? Things like that. But, I mean, they kept the core mechanic the same. So if you didn't enjoy the original mechanic, they didn't change any of that. So let's look at Quinn here, just to kind of give you an idea of. So he is our human investigator. So his power is, for your checks that involve finesse, you may recharge a card to use knowledge instead of acrobats or stealth, and add the card's level. So obviously he's really good at finesse. He's really good at knowledge. Yeah, he's got a D10 plus 2 in knowledge. So anytime he wants to do that, he can recharge a card that has the finesse power and activate his knowledge instead of athletics or stealth. On a local check against a barrier, You may bury an item to add your perception. His perception is a D8 plus 2. So he could bury an item to get a big bonus to get by a barrier. At the end of your turn, you may examine the top card of your location. Now that is huge, right? Knowing what's coming up, you flip up a card at your location. So you know, like when the blessing comes up, if the blessing is going to give you a bonus, you're like, oh yeah, then let's investigate this area because that would give us a bonus. So that's huge. Let's see here. Varian. He is the half-elf wizard. See if I can have this come in a little closer here. My camera does not like zooming in on these things, does it? Come on. Alright. On your check to recharge a spell, you automatically fail. So on your check to recharge a spell, he automatically fails. Before you reset, you may recharge an arcane spell from your discards. So he automatically fails, and it goes into his discard pile. But before he resets, he can recharge any of his arcane spells from his discard pile. Wow. On a local check and an urban location, you may recharge a card to add a D4. And then all these little boxes here are when you earn experience points, you can check these boxes, and then you would earn those experience. So if he checked this box, he could, before he reset, he could recharge an arcane spell or 2 arcane spells from your discards. So you can actually get 2 back once he earns enough experience points. Wow, he could be like casting spells every turn. That is super, super good. Okay, let's see what else we got here. We got Hakron. Hakron? Alright, and another new thing is they added the proficiencies down here. So Arcane, Divine, Instrument, and Weapon. So at the start of your turn, you may exchange a card with a card in the same type from your discard piles. Oh my gosh! So if he has a weapon in his hand, but he doesn't, he needs piercing, he can swip it out with one of his cards in his discard pile. That is... And a local strength check, you may bury a card from your hand to add your diplomacy. And of course, diplomacy is a D8 plus 1. That's okay. Burying a card is not great because it gets rid of that card for the rest of the game, but of course, as soon as he got an experience point, he could check that box, and instead of burying a card, he could discard it. So that would be a really good upgrade for him right off the bat. Instead of burying a card, he could discard it. And every time he did a strength check, he could add his diplomacy, which is a D8 plus 1. That would be really good too. Wow, there's so many good things. Let's see what... did we look at Kiss? I think we looked at Kiss. Did we look at Kiss? For your combat check, you may use melee plus a D8. And then with the checkbox, you could add a D12 and add the magic trait. Wow, that's really good if once he levels up. On your check against a monster on which you do not play a weapon or a spell, you may recharge an ally to add 1d4 plus that card's level. So get lots of allies for him. I bet you he's got quite a few allies. Let's see his ally deck here. Come on. Yeah, 5 allies. His favorite card's an ally. So he's all about playing those allies, I bet. Play the ally to get a d4 plus the card level. And when you bury or discard a card as damage, it counts as 2. Wow, man, that's cool. or 3 per card. So if he took 3 damage, he could get rid of 1 card. Wow. Yes, he seems like a beast. Wow. When you defeat a monster, you may heal a card. Oh my gosh. Wow, he's got like 3 really good upgrades. 3 really good upgrades, and that's super good power. Oof. And we look at, we already looked at Quinn. We look at, Quinn? Let's see. Yeah, we looked at Quinn. That examine the top card of your location is going to be huge. Right? Because you can see when you flip up the bless, right? Give me a bless. Give me a bless. Let's see a bless. Give me a bless. So if he flips it up and we know it's a monster, and maybe it's an animal monster or whatever, then we flip up a blessing and the blessing says, when fighting an animal, gain an extra die or whatever, right? Then we know, oh, let's go after that stack because we know the next card's an animal. Let's use this blessing now. So I think that looking at the, that's just like an example, but when you encounter a monster from a location before acting, another local character summons and encounters it. At the start of your turn, you may remove one of your scourges. Wow. So that's really going to do. The difficulty to your non-combat checks against a Bane is increased by 3. When you suffer a scourge on your turn, each local character suffers it. Oh my gosh. Really cool, because the blessings really changed, because now your strategy has to change based upon which blessing came up. That is a great addition. Absolutely great addition. Like I said, I don't think there was anything wrong with the old edition, but I think they really did a good job of kind of fine-tuning everything and made it really, really good. I mean, I got this game when it first came out. Pathfinder First Edition. I got it when it first came out. I bought a couple of the expansions and everything, and we got to the point where it was like, it's okay. It's just too confusing because people would argue about, well, can I use this now? And some people would say, yeah, you can use that. And then other people would say, no, because, you can't do this. And at this time, some of the mechanics were not thoroughly thought out, I guess is the best way to put it. It's still a good game. It was still a good game, but people got a little sick of, just not knowing. Like, this is cohort B, right? And then it would say, like, add the level of any cohorts that you have. Well, what is a B? What level is a B, right? So, there was just questions like that. And like I said, the artwork, while it was fine, it's certainly not going to win any awards for best looking cards. I mean, it's fine. It does its job, but it's kind of plain, right? Just kind of plain for me. And some of the text is a little small, especially when you got old eyes like myself. There's nothing wrong with it. It just wasn't great, I guess is the best way to put it. What are we doing here? We got to make sure we put these back in order. So yeah, looking forward to, for sure. You can mix and match these sets. They are supposed to be able to. I mean, you could take all the stuff you have from this first edition and add them to the second edition, right? Because the backs they're still the same backings. If you look at the back of the cards, now there is a difference to the coloring a little bit, so they would stand out a little bit more. These are more like orangish. But you could mix and match. You could add all the stuff from the first edition to the second edition. Then you could have just a ton of stuff, make up your own scenarios, whatever. All right, well, there you go. That's it's kind of just a broad overview. I just wanted to open up my box just to see what was in it so I could prepare. Alrighty, guys. Well, once we get the first edition box in, come on now, don't be falling down there. Hopefully soon, actually. I think I looked at the tracking and it's supposed to be here on Friday, but so maybe over the weekend we might be able to. Holy cow! Wait a minute. Now this all can't be. Here is. Yeah, this is first edition. Okay. This goes over here. All right, that's why. I'm like, wait a minute. I know all these cards fit in there. But you get a ton of cards, you can see. And this, I will say this about the first and second edition as well. So, so the base games for the first edition run about $40 to $60, I think, somewhere in there. But each one of the little expansions, right? Each of the little expansions that come with them, I think cost $20 each. So when you got 6 of these expansions, 6 times $20 is $120. Plus your $60 you bought in originally, so it was like $180 to get one complete adventure path. So you buy the core box, Wrath of the Righteous, then you had to buy expansion 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that, like I said, that ran you about $150, $160 or whatever. Now, all 6, adventure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, all 6 of these adventure packs come in one box. And this box, I think, was like $41 on Amazon, or $42. So you basically get 6 expansions for $40. Much more cost conscious, I guess, is the best way to put it. Much better value for your money than ordering these for $20 a piece. So, yeah, you can, yeah, I think these were like $40, $45 maximum. I think it was, I can't remember what it was, but you can get it on Amazon. It was like $40 to $45, somewhere in that range. And you get all 6 expansions. You get the expansion book with all the, you know, the materials, the information. And I do like how they now updated all the charts. So there's now like a little chart that gives you the information, right? And what things do, and how to, you know, what to go on. Before it was just like a little card, and there wasn't all this information in the game. And this is what it needed in the first edition, was all this information on how to set up your campaign, how to set up your adventures, what does everything mean, what do you do in between adventures, how do you earn experience points, all this stuff. Like you can see just charts and charts and charts showing you how to do everything. And then you actually get into scenario number 1. And it shows you, here is the danger. So whenever it says encounter the danger, and this one you're going to get Lamb's Lamb is going to be the danger. And the villains, these are the villains. Graydam's Lamb and Gobblegut. And then the henchmen, closing. Right? So the henchman closing. What that means is when you beat a henchman, they have the closing keyword, which means you can then try to close that location. So it's built into the little chart now, so you don't have that question about, well, if I beat this guy, can I close the location or not? If they've got this keyword, then yes, you can. Then, of course, then you have your henchmen there. You have your setup instructions, your different locations based on your how many players you have in the game. During the scenario, You have your story, it gives you information about it, and then, most importantly, your reward. A character gets the loot item Zarya's Harrow deck. Rally the supporter Cassandra Croft. So that is the reward for completing this. You don't have to look at a card and try to figure out what the hell am I doing here. Do I follow this? Do I go on? Do I check this box? What am I doing here? You just look at the chart and you follow the little book. So you get 6, right? No, this is 7. Sorry. So this is you're gonna go through scenario 1, A, B, and C. You're gonna get scenario 2, A, B, A, C, and D. You're gonna get scenario 3, A, B, C, and D. You're gonna get scenario 4, A. And you can see this one's like a 2-page scenario. B, 4B, 4C, 4D, 5A, 5A, 5B. See, this is kind of a shorter scenario. It's just like on half a page. 5C, 5D, 6A, 6B, 6C, 6D. Says 6 times 4 is 24. Plus you got 7A. So I think there's 25 scenarios that you play through in just this one pack. 25 scenarios at roughly an hour to hour and a half per scenario. You're going to have probably, 50 hours of gameplay, 60 hours maybe, depending on how fast or slow you are. So tons and tons of value. Tons and tons of value for your money compared to the first edition. Like I said, I bought the first edition, played the first edition, had a good time with it, but it got to be like, oh, geez, I don't want to try to figure this out. Kind of made you just not follow along because you didn't know what was going on. It was just about completing the adventure, and you didn't really care what was going on because there wasn't that big a story or anything. But now, much more story. You know what's going on. You get invested in your characters. So, can't wait for the first edition core book to come. This is, of course, the expansion. First expansion. Another one probably coming soon. Hopefully, for the Pathfinder adventure card game. Game designed by Mike Selanker. Mike Selanker. I'm not sure. Sorry, Mike. Cool. A lot of value. You could technically play this now. It says it requires the core set to play. The only reason you need the core set is so you can level your characters up to level 1 and play through those original scenarios. Plus, you need I guess you do need the cards. You need the basic level 0 cards to play. So, yeah, I guess So start with the core game, get this game, and you'll have tons and tons of replay value. So, all right, guys, Heathwell, thanks for coming on by. No enemies here. Tony's Board Life, Wardrobe, Viper Dave, everyone that came by. I do appreciate it. You guys have a great night, and I'm hoping to even get maybe a scenario on the table tonight. We can continue our Path of the Righteous and see how we can do with scenario number 3. That would be super cool. Oh, Jesus. Anyways, we'll see you all next time.